Won't you lock me in your heart?
Hello, everybody. I'm Will.
And I'm Kristen.
And this is So I'm Watching Pam and Tommy, Season 1, Episode 6.
Pamela in Wonderland.
Pamela in Wonderland. Sure. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I thought this was really great. I also enjoyed that it was brisk. We didn't need a lot of this.
This is 2 short episodes in a row. I'm glad with that. I'm good with that.
Well, it touched on one thing especially, but 2 things that I was curious if the show was going to depict, which was her discovery at the football game and then her relationship with Playboy. I was curious. I think that this was great. I think this was very successful. The only thing that I'll say is I think there's an element for me of fatigue because we've gotten this perspective several times recently.
I was just talking to Will about it because we watched Impeachment. And that was definitely one of them. We've got this. It's like all over, even like period dramas where they're like doing the same thing about like, you know, what it's like to be a woman. So I agree.
I mean,
there's
it's necessary, but there is an element of fatigue. And I'm like, okay, so, you know, we do know this and or culturally this is being reckoned with.
Yeah.
And I listened to Pop Culture Happy Hour talk about it. And they were like, I do hope that we are as a society actually learning and growing and changing and not just going to have this exact same conversation 20 years from now with the same people or with different people.
I feel like, I hope so also, yes, but like we also still need shows like this.
So my favorite thing about this so far has been the show's relationship with and to sex.
Yeah.
Because people, especially men, and especially at this time, but no, people in general, it's not just men, people are very obtuse about sex and try to really lump it all together. And I think that there was something so interesting about the contrasting the glamour and the dignity of Playboy with the scumminess and the degradingness of the legal office.
Yeah.
You would think it'd be the other way around.
Yeah. I take a huge, which if you've been watching our coverage the whole time, you'll know, I take a huge amount of umbrage with the comparison of posing in Playboy to being a sex worker. Because, again, I have no issue with sex work, but he is like, well, you're obviously a prostitute because you're charging money for sex acts, when it's like, no, she's being photographed by an art magazine, essentially. Well, and that's the deliberately obtuse nature of the lawyer, which to me is even more frustrating because the law is so much more full of nuance than anybody
they're playing this like gotcha game with her as if she's trying to deceive anybody. And that's kind of
as if she's trying to pretend that she's a different Pamela Anderson. She's never posed in Playboy.
That's not like it reminds like many things do. It reminds me of that scene from Showgirls where he's like, at least what you're doing is honest.
Yeah.
And it's like, I've been trying to not glorify Playboy too much because there's a lot to be said.
Of course.
Good, bad, and in between. I have mentioned several times that I do, for various reasons, some of which are personal, I have a fondness for it. I did appreciate this depiction of Hugh Hefner, and I think in regards to Pamela Anderson, this is a accurate and appropriate depiction.
Well,
I think that this is emblematic of her relationship with him.
That's what I was going to say. This show is treating him sort of like a fairy godfather, but it is because that is what he was to her. That's not
one of many things.
That's not to say that he's like that to everybody and that nobody was ever exploited by Playboy. You know, she lists off all the times she was in it, though, and it's like a very consistent working relationship but the stupid ass lawyer is just making it into something seedy.
I think Lily James is working overtime keeping this thing engaging and grounded, because the way she keeps exerting or finding ways to exert her power, because the lawyer is like, they seem very fond of you, clearly implying a predatory nature.
Yeah.
And she responds with an I them.
Yep.
It's like she keeps trying to make a point to illustrate what a willing participant she is in this. And I found it very interesting that her mother went with her. I'm inclined to believe. Yeah, I'm inclined to believe it.
Oh, Dendry Taylor. I know her. The woman who played the mom. Also, Bruce, the lawyer, the opposing lawyer, is the coroner from True Blood.
Okay.
Yeah. Check out our upcoming True Blood coverage. Anyway, continue.
There's just this innate negativity with sex, with all things sex, you know, for so many people.
Mm-hmm.
And I do sort of like the pragmatism of it. We have the scene where she is actually doing her test shoot, and the director is he seems like a character.
Mm-hmm.
He does seem charming.
Simon.
She asks him kind of timidly, what do I do? Where do we do it? Like, what do you want?
Parts of me?
And he's very much like, whatever you feel comfortable with, we're painting a fantasy.
Yeah.
Like, we're painting a picture here. Again, I really liked the scene with Hugh Hefner. I was very relieved that it wasn't him grossly hitting on her.
Of course. Yeah.
What did you think of, or what did you make of the conversation they have where he says, separate your price from your worth? What does that mean?
You can't build your self-worth on how much people are willing to pay you.
Okay.
You have to have your own interior worth.
And not to conflate the two.
And yeah, because otherwise you get to a point where you're like, I'm only worth $150,000 for this photo shoot, or however much Playboy's paying. I have no idea. But you can't then consider that to be the only thing you're worth. And to which Pamela is like, I should ask for more.
Well, because essentially what he told her is that that she is worth more.
Yeah.
And just remember that, and just decide what you're willing to. Yada. I found it very interesting.
But I do think it's important that they're two separate things, because if you start assigning your personal worth,
your value,
to a dollar value, that gets dicey real quick.
I'm inclined to believe that it was a very specific scene, that I'm inclined to believe that came from somewhere, that they didn't just make that up for this dramatization. I found it very interesting. I guess, what is the point of this deposition?
They're trying to discredit her so that they can get the suit thrown out against, what's his name? Guccione?
Bob Guccione.
Yeah.
I guess and I guess this is also what the show's about, but I still don't understand what we're actually arguing. Basically, Bob Guccione's lawyer is arguing that she has no right to file a suit to keep these pictures out of Penthouse because she has already posed nude. So it's as if she has given her consent for all nude photos. So that's why they're conflating the nudity with
and sex work and all the stuff. Yeah.
Ew.
Yeah.
All around.
Super ew.
Just all around. It's
and her lawyer is doing what he can, but he's like a little useless somehow.
Well, I think that speaks to what we've talked about in our previous coverage, the times are changing of it all, you know? So
I mean, they like make her watch the tape and identify herself and Tommy in all of the shots. And the other thing too is, like, I think it was very deliberate. I mean, obviously it was very deliberate, but that they are only deposing Pamela because I think they know that Tommy would be a way more belligerent witness. Like, he would just not do it.
Well, they're just weirdly trying to shame her. Yeah. And again, I guess I don't understand. Well, I guess it's that, who does she think she is, existing in this world and existing in that way in this world for male consent? Because I'm just sort of like, why are they on? I don't know. I guess I'm thinking of it as a moral argument, but they're the ones that introduced the moral element. So I'm like, why is in this scenario, why is she, or why are they the bad guys and Bob Guccione's the good guy when he's trying to profit off of stolen property? That's the thing that I can't. Well,
because that was his other argument, is that it wasn't stolen. She leaked it on purpose in order to make more money from Penthouse than Playboy is paying her. And the only reason to maintain her relationship with Hugh is to make it look like it was stolen. So his argument is that she gave the tape to Bob Guccione.
That's just so much more.
Yeah.
Like, that's some Down with Love style.
Yes. Yeah.
Down with Love style, ending monologue style logic.
So then I'll go to
all the while,
I'll go to a game at the Labatt Stadium, and then miraculously I got myself on the Jumbotron. And then a guy came and asked me if I wanted to be a model. And then I got called by Playboy. And it was all a long con to make more money from Penthouse.
From Playboy, though. Because ultimately she's doing it's bizarre. It's
no,
really...
she wants to make... his argument is that she wants more money, which Bob Guccione will pay her, but she will still be able to maintain the relationship with Hugh because it looks like it's stolen.
That's nuts.
It's super nuts. It's lawyer bullshit. It's super nuts lawyer bullshit. Because that would be the implication there is that she doesn't, even though she has said multiple times, the implication is that she doesn't have the positive relationship with Hugh that she does, where she could easily ask him for more money, which she says, she's like, no, we agreed upon the price for every photo shoot, like
each time.
Mutually, every time beforehand. So it's just men. Fucking men. And also the fact that this is all just a huge pissing contest between Hugh Hefner and Bob Guccione is disgusting.
Well, we've also yet to see Hugh Hefner enter the ring.
Yeah.
This is Bob trying to stick it to Hugh.
Yeah.
And because I'm with you where I'm like, what happened to Rand? And like...
I know that they have to like there is another court case. Although there's only 2 episodes left, so I don't really know.
He's going to be in the next episode.
Yeah, so, I don't know. But he has been gone for 2 episodes in a row now, which is very interesting to me from a narrative point of view.
Mm-hmm. There's been a lot of talk about the show, and the biggest criticism that's been lobbed against the show is that it's trying to take a moral high ground, but it can't do that because it's trafficking in the same salaciousness that the initial tape, because so much of it is about recreating the tape and all that. And it's what I'll say. I think that's a fair criticism, or that's a fair thing to say. What I'm taking from it is how it's blurring the lines between sex, between what is good, what is bad, what is noble, what is like immoral, what is negative,
ethical.
And I find that it's kind of one of the things earlier where, we said something about how like, well, they present as quote unquote trashy people, ergo they deserve this. And it's like, I like the way that it's dealing in it's irrelevant. And this goes back to the conversation we have so much about like, especially, in art, it's like we write roles where women have to take their clothes off.
Yeah.
And then we judge the women for doing what we ask them to do.
Right.
The way that they're depicting her, and it's the way that I have always felt about her, and I believe that she is that she's actually rather sweet.
Yeah.
And
that's, I think the like actual smartest thing the show did was cast Lily James, who has such a sweet reputation to play Pamela, because I agree with you. You can be kind of trashy and still nice. That's like,
or it's like that bad girls like sex is what they're basically saying. And it was what drew me to, if anyone watches Euphoria, it was what drew me to the character of Cassie on Euphoria. As I like that she is presented as very...
Now you're going to bring the comments over here?
As very soft, as very sweet, as very cute, but yet she very clearly has this sexual drive that we don't get. It's the Madonna and the whore. And I like, that's what that long-winded thing was for me as I was trying to get to that point, is I like how this show is kind of blurring those lines. And the same with Tommy, where, in one episode, from one perspective, he's a gigantic asshole.
Yeah.
But in another, he's kind of cute and charming. And it's like, people can be multiple things.
What I have come to find out about him through this show now is that he's not good at business. Like doing business interactions, but he seems to be, as far as we've seen, and again, I'm aware of future stuff that happens between them, but he is a devoted husband so far. He loves her so much right now. And like, I don't know. It's just...
I will say that, well, the tape's out, so who knows? But there was a part of me that was terrified for their trajectory, for where they're going with this tape. Because I was like, so help me God, if we're showing these kids this tape at one point... the way they talk about it, they're always like, this is family history, the baby's conception. And I'm just sort of like, I mean, maybe it's good that it got out of their hands. I don't know. No, I'm being...
Oh, brother.
I'm joking there, but no, ultimately, like I said, that's what I'm sort of enjoying the most about it, is sort of taking away the this is that, and good, you know, sex is bad, and if you like it or if you participate in it, it's somehow, you know.
But only for women. Because that's like, he asked if Tommy had ever been with prostitutes, and she was like, no, he's never paid for sex. And he like kept pushing it, and she was like, well, they charge for sex, so no. Like, the whole thing. It's
because like I was like, I want to make clear again that we are also
pro-sex
work. Yeah, we're pro-sex work.
But he's the one making it gross.
It's the tactic that he, like I said, he's trying to use that to implicate her.
Yeah.
Which it goes back to my earlier point where I was like, as if she's trying to pretend that she's not
anything but what she is.
Yeah. And that's one of the more baffling elements. So all right. Well, in spite of all that, I did enjoy the episode, and frankly, I've been enjoying the show. I enjoy spending time with them.
Me too.
So
2 more episodes.
Okay.
Come back next
Hopefully
week.
there was something in there that was of any value.